Jesse did and you did, just adjusted your stance.
Mm-hmm.
You could hear the feet shaking.
Okay.
The fan motor on the, I don't know if someone on the projector.
Yeah. Now we have 2 ears, and where you're sitting, you hear that there's that fan. Do you hear anything over there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear the AC.
There's an AC over there.
Mm-hmm.
What's that stand for? Air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
So we're not in a noiseless environment, even when we're all doing our best to be quiet. And I purposefully dropped my pen. Did anyone hear this?
Yeah. I heard Velcro.
Yeah.
You heard Velcro,
I heard
nice.
Velcro.
Either that or you scuffed your pants.
Somebody opened a Velcro. Someone.
So the point I'm trying to make is, if you take the time and listen and observe, you pick up all kinds of sounds.
Mm-hmm.
You're in an environment where your brain is able to tune those things out. Those sounds are happening all the time.
Yeah.
But when we're singing, when there's speech going on, you're focused in on what that person's saying, and your brain actually tunes those things out. However, the microphone does not.
Mm-hmm.
The speakers, they project louder whatever the microphone picks up. And so, starting at the source, we need to isolate what we want to hear from all of the other noises that are going on. So here's a tip for everyone who uses a microphone. When you use a mic far away, what you're forcing the sound man to do is turn up the volume. And what I want you to picture around this microphone is a bubble. The microphone picks up in different patterns. So like this one, it can pick up this area here, but it can also has other microphones that can pick up the back side, and other microphones inside that actually picks up the sides. So I've told it right now, I'm going to be speaking here, so it's trying to pick up just the center. Now, if I back up, even though it's aimed right at me, the sound man turns it up, which means that bubble grows bigger, so that I could be in that bubble of things that it hears. But what does it also hear?
Everything.
It hears everything. So the further away you are, the more noise is going to come through the sound system. The more noise that comes through that in relation to your voice, the harder it is to hear the intelligible speech that's going on. And so here's the first, I don't have them numbered. Here's one of the most important principles I have to teach you today, is what we want to do as sound engineers, as sound people, is improve the signal to noise ratio. So that instead of Pastor Dave's speech competing with the buzz or the feedback or the distortion, instead of him competing with that sound, we want to minimize that noise. And then we want to maximize his voice when he teaches. And so I'm going to teach some tips and tricks how to do that. But it starts with close-up miking. That's why we have this close-up mic here. It's the same for worship. Sing as close to your mic as you can. I know you may feel intimidated by that. Maybe that's a little scary because you're not used to that. And let me encourage you. The sound man has it under control. If you feel like you're going to be too loud when you're too close, he'll turn down the volume. If you're too far away, what will happen is you just won't be heard, because he won't be able to get the signal that he needs to amplify you without causing more noise. And what I want to do is encourage the sound man to not create more noise, but to actually do things properly and amplify the signal, amplify the noise of what we want to hear. So that means we have to be more selective on how we do things. How am I doing on time? So now I'm going to stop sharing just extemporaneously, and I'm going to ask for a volunteer who knows how to swipe on an iPad. Joseph. All right. If you can go back to the table, I have my iPad there, and you can. I'll give you cues, and I'll have you walk us through. So why don't you have a seat over here, because the iPad's right here. I just want to go over a few things about theory before we get into into the actual hardware. Oops. Are there any questions so far?
So what we'll do is
I have a question.
you'll swipe like left to right.
Okay, left, we'll go to the next slide. Yes, Michael.
A sound man with tinnitus or tinnitus or
Yeah.
ringing in the ears, can he be an effective sound person?
Yeah, the question is for those on the recording who didn't hear. Can a person who has tinnitus or ringing in their ears be effective as a sound person? Yes, but that introduces some limitations.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best soundmen that I know that I work with at Pebble Beach, I'm an audiovisual technician. I work with a pastor, his name is Fred Meeks.
I know Fred.
He does sound at Pebble Beach, you do. So, and he's been doing sound for lots of years. One year he was the #1 seller of JBL speakers. He had his own light and sound company. He worked with Billy Graham, he worked with Crystal Cathedral. Anyway, his hearing is terrible, but he's a good sound man. He's a musician, comes from a musician's family. He has an ear for music. Where the ringing in the ears might cause a hindrance is if there's feedback at that frequency that the person doesn't hear because that ringing is actually deafness in that tone.
Yep.
Your brain is supplying that signal. If they can't hear the feedback, then other people are going to hear it, and that's going to be a distraction. So they may need someone to say, hey, do you hear this feedback? It's around 800 hertz. So we need people who know sound, but you can have tinnitus and still be an okay sound person. I would do some things differently than Fred, but he's a good sound man. He's got a good heart, and I think that's most important. Does that answer the question? Yeah. Patty.
You talked about not stepping back from the mic. I wonder if you could address the issue of, I know in my voice I have sweet spots. I have places where I know that note is going to be really big and really focused. And when that note's about to come, I start backing off because it's going to be really, sometimes it's too big. It's too big for any of it to go in the mic, and I'll go offset.
Good point.
So,
Good point. I think I demonstrated that too. When I'm shouting,
right.
I'm going to be a little further
That's
from the
what
mic
talking.
because the sound man can't always anticipate when you're going to be super loud and turn it down for that word, but you can. So,
okay, then
yes, but when you
thing-
sing quietly, be close. When you have that super shrill,
Yeah. And again,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be shrill, it's
when I
just,
come
it's
to
not
a-
Loud.
gonna be big, you know that big.
however you describe it, that it was
Yeah.
not shrill.
I don't
but
know,
what was the
Robert.
Well,
word
it
you
could be.
described?
For it. What do you call it, Robert, when I knock the front row backwards?
She knocks the front row.
Well, it's just power.
Probably, and the sound of
Focus.
it can be bright.
Right, yeah.
A bright voice will, tend to cut through and.
Yeah.
Jeff? Anyway, the other issue, really quickly, is creating dynamics. Rather than using your voice, creating dynamics by going, ha, which annoys me when people do that because it's bad technique. Do you want to address, if you don't, it's kind of a peripheral subject.
Yeah,
but I know.
you're
Yeah,
talking
mic
about the
techniques.
dynamics, and I haven't even taught what
Yeah.
dynamics is yet. So
Anyway, something we can talk about on our own.
yeah, let's
Stay focused.
let's go on to if you. So about what I said before, there are some remaining questions, and I hope by the end of my time I'll have answered some of them, but my time is short. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to be by the soundboard, whoever's doing sound for the next few weeks, and just kind of be a soundboard